All right, today we're talking about how to get more traffic and visibility online for your business. My guest today is Travis Hoechlin of RizeUp Media. I'll tell you more at him in a second, so stay tuned.
Welcome to the Smart Business Revolution podcast, where we feature top entrepreneurs, business leaders, and thought leaders and ask them how they built key relationships to get where they are today. Now, let's get started with the show.
All right, welcome everyone. John Corcoran here. I'm the host of the show, and every week we have a smart CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs from all kinds of companies, and we've had Netflix and Grubhub, Redfin, Gusto, Kinko's, YPO, EO, Activation Blizzard, lots of great episodes if you check out the archives. And of course, before we get into this episode is brought to you by Rise25, where we help businesses to give to and connect to their dream relationships and partnerships. How do we do that? We do that by helping you to run your podcast. We are the easy button for a company to launch and run your podcast. We do three things: the strategy, accountability, and full execution. In fact, we invented what some are calling the Wix of B2B podcasting. It's our platform, Podcast Copilot, which is so much more than just relationship building. It's also about nurturing your best relationships and clients and referral partners. So you can learn more by going to rise25.com or emailing us at support@rise25.com. All right, and a quick shout out to Jason Swank of Digital Agency Elite and the Smart Agency Masterclass podcast. He's a longtime friend. And through that community, we met today's guest, whose name is Travis Hoechlin. He's the co-founder and CEO of RizeUp Media. It's a digital marketing agency that specializes in helping law firms to grow their client base through tailored online strategies. He's got about 15 years of experience in the legal marketing industry. He's from Southern California in an entrepreneurial family, and we're going to hear about his background, how he got into this in the first place, and especially what you should be doing today if you want to get traffic and visibility online. Travis, I want to hear about what you were like as a kid. I always like to get to know my guests a little bit of what they were like when they were younger. You grew up playing baseball, mowing lawns, and you also were in an entrepreneurial family, so I want to hear about all of those things. But baseball and lawns were definitely a big part of your childhood. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I played baseball since the time I could hold a bat all the way through college, and even signed a professional contract for a quick minute. But yeah, no, if you had asked me when I was a kid what I'd be doing at this age, I would have told you I just, like every other kid out there, thought I would play baseball until I fell over and then coached.
Yeah. Now, did you ever end up in the minor leagues? I know in baseball, at least the way it used to be, that they went like hundreds of rounds and everyone got drafted, even while you're in college. Was it like that, or did you end up doing any minor league time?
Yeah, and I signed a contract with an independent. I didn't get drafted, but I signed a contract with an independent professional team in Ohio, and went out there for spring training, got hurt, and came back and had to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up.
I went to an independent professional baseball team game last Friday with my kids.
And did you really?
I did, yeah. And there was probably 100 people in the stands. Nice. Super, super local. I just find it so much fun. It's like really one of those small town Americana type things that I really enjoy doing, and I hope to do a couple over the course of the summer.
What was the name of the team?
The San Rafael Pacifics. It is independent, not affiliated with any of the major league teams.
Yeah.
And I've been many times before, and they've had little small town promotions. Actually, from an entrepreneurial perspective, I think it's fascinating how they get butts and seats for something that's, these days it's honestly difficult to compete with screen time and compete with all the array of entertainment sources that we have to get people out of their homes to come down to visit the ballpark and enjoy themselves. It's not easy.
Where was the stadium, out of curiosity?
It's in San Rafael, California, Marin County, just north of San Francisco.
Yeah, I think I played. Is it a old stadium? Yes.
Oh yeah, very old. Unfortunately, they haven't fixed it up in a while.
Small world. So when I played baseball at Cal State Hayward, it's called Cal State East Bay now.
Yes, my wife worked there actually.
Yeah, so I played there for 2 seasons. In the summer, when you play college baseball, they disperse you out to all different places: the Alaska League, Cape Cod, Pacific League, all these different places. And I played for a team called the San Francisco Seals, and that was our home field.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's so funny.
For two summers, I played in that stadium, traveled all across the country.
That's hilarious.
And yeah, it was a great time. Probably the funnest baseball time of my life.
Well, the game we went to last Friday, they won in the bottom of the 10th, and you would have thought they won the World Series. It was like the third game of the year, and these guys went nuts. I mean, just mobbed the guy who hit the single that got the RBI, that got the winning run. And then my kids ran out onto the field and they got autographs and pictures with the kids. And it was super fun.
I'll tell you a funny story. I don't know if this is appropriate for this podcast or not, but I spent my 21st birthday in that field. And when I showed up to the field, my teammates, I was on deck. I was batting second or third, and they made me take. And one of my teammates pulled a bottle of gin out of his trunk, and I had to take a shot before every at bat.
At that. Oh, jeez.
I ended up going up. I think I ended up going
Oh,
4 for 5, a home
4 for 5.
run, two doubles, six RBIs. They took me out to the bar down the street at the end of the game, after the game, called the Flatiron Grill, I think it was
Yeah,
called.
there's one nearby. Yeah, yeah.
I don't remember much of the night
Hilarious.
after that. I woke up in the morning and my host family threw the newspaper at me, and I was on the front page of the whatever that paper is there in Santa
Marin
Rosa,
IJ. Yeah, yeah.
and said Hoechlin goes 4 for 5
Oh
and
my gosh.
the Seals win or whatever. So yeah, that was my
That is an amazing 21st birthday. I had the
don't
drinking.
recommend that, but the later innings got a little wacky trying to catch the ball at first base. But
My 21st, I had the drinking part, but not the succeeding in baseball part. So that's really impressive that you did that. That is really cool. What a small world. So let's talk a little bit about. So you mowed lawns. You also bought blow pops from Costco and sold them at school.
yeah.
Lots of guests on my podcast have done that sort of thing. Did you get busted by the principal or your teacher or anything like that?
No, I think no, I don't think I got in any trouble. Just made a few bucks and bought baseball cards, and it kind of all worked out.
I still have a bunch of baseball cards in my garage waiting for them to come up in value one of these days. You end up starting a mortgage company. That is another thing. I've had a lot of guests that did that. It had a rough time around '07, '08.
Yeah.
What year did you start that?
We actually we're in the wholesale mortgage business, and so we did hard money loans, and then we actually started. What ended up happening is '07 there used to be like this website. It was called the Mortgage Implode Meter, where when every time they would post every time a mortgage company, a mortgage bank would go out of business.
Mm,
So we were representative of a bank, and so we had brokers that would send us loans or what have you. And so
okay.
when '07 hit, '08 hit, all the banks were going out of business and there wasn't any place, but we still had the audience of brokers. And so we actually ended up we're basically an outsourced sales force for many of these banks that didn't want to hire full-time reps. And so
Okay.
we were basically brokering all kinds of different loans and trying to keep these guys afloat. We ended up doing loan mods and debt settlement and all kinds of different things. And then we kind of woke up one morning and went, okay, what are we doing here? This is how
Yeah.
what we
So I was an attorney practicing law around then, and had a lot of clients that had large real estate portfolios and that were upside down, and the whole loan modification world became its own thing, and the banks refused to play ball with
yeah,
anyone, and it was really. I look back on that period of time. It's very gratifying to help people that were underwater that didn't know where to turn. They came to us. They didn't have much money. It was really gratifying helping them. But it was also a very frustrating time because these very large banks, many of which had got bailed out,
yeah,
were turning around and were just like screwing the retail investors who thought, they kind of, many of them didn't know what they were doing, and they got upside down. Not really, it wasn't their fault. It wasn't greed or
yeah,
anything like that. They were just doing what they thought they would do to earn up a nest egg for their family.
yeah. We got into the loan mod part of things in the same way. I think we were helping people, and we certainly were. But like you said, the banks weren't playing ball. There's regulation there, and it was really hard.
Yeah.
It felt like they kept moving the goalposts quite a bit, and so it was like finally we just said, you know what, let's go do something different.
So it sounds like sales is a common thread. That's kind of where your specialties is now. How did you end up into the legal marketing world?
Literally, it was out of didn't know what we were going to do next. So when the mortgage thing kind of ended, we are like, okay, we wanted at that time, no one wanted to hire a mortgage salesperson just because there were so many of us out there trying to find gigs. And so an old mentor of mine was working for a big box store legal marketing company, and he goes, "Hey, I know you can sell. I need a sales rep in Orange County." And I said, I don't know anything about law or lawyers, and I know very little except what we did for our own company as far as SEO goes. He said, listen, if you'll hustle and do what you do in the sales world, I can teach you all the rest of the stuff. So 8.5 years later at that big company, I was the top sales rep for 6, 7 years in a row. And yeah, and then decided to do our own thing.
Now, how did you establish credibility with this with lawyers, with law firms, especially larger law firms? There's this weird thing in the legal world where a lot of times lawyers want to get marketing advice from other lawyers. It doesn't make any sense, but for some reason they do. And
Mhm.
so it can be really hard for people outside who don't have a law degree to establish credibility, no matter how much credibility they have in that particular realm. So, how did you get over that in the early days?
Well, I think at the what ended up happening was is just my background of owning my own business. I could talk business with them, and how to scale a business, and kind of what understanding how they got paid, and looking at their practice through the lens of a business owner. I think gained credibility with a lot of these folks, because most lawyers, it's like my dad said, he's like, he went through medical school and never took one business class, right?
Yeah,
And I find that many lawyers are very similar.
same. Yeah,
They're
for
like, hey,
sure.
listen,
Yeah,
no one taught me how to do online marketing or market a practice or what have you. I know the law and I know that well, but I really need to find somebody I trust that can guide me through these waters and help me build my business. And so that's really where I think, you know, certainly took some kicks to the teeth when when trying to understand the law and how things worked and figure out the vocabulary and all that good
right.
stuff. But once I learned a little bit about that, then it was smooth sailing from there.
And you mentioned your father. Your dad had a family practice. He was a doctor, still is a doctor. How much were you around that? How much did you absorb from that as a kid? Learn from your father's experience running his own business?
Yeah, I think, I mean, uh, it was junior high school days, so I don't know how much I really paid attention as far as the ins and outs of it, but I just think the entrepreneurial bug was certainly planted. And, when I came time to go to college and figure out what I wanted to major in, I asked him what I should do. He said, own your own business at some point. He's
Hmm.
like, don't work for somebody else, go own your own business. And so that always stuck with me. And so here we are, me approaching 50. It definitely was good advice.
In the early days when you're starting Rise Up Media, one of the challenges is like selling a website is one thing, or a marketing plan or something like that, and then fulfilling on it's another matter. Um, how did you manage to do that, or did you and a co-founder divvy up responsibilities? Like how did you focus on both at the same time?
Yeah, so no, great question. So I have two partners. Two of us are more, call it sales guys, and our third partner, George, is the kind of what we say, the
The
brains behind
builder.
the operation and the
Hmm.
builder. And but how it kind of worked, how we started was is that we found an agency. I don't even know if he would define himself as an agency at that point. A guy who could build a website and do SEO, and so we just threw everything over the fence to him and helped us get a running start until we could build up our book of business, or our business where we could bring it in house. And so
Right.
the three of us, I jumped first from my corporate job, built it out, and then my business partner was supposed to come 6 months later. He ended up it grew so quickly that he actually jumped a month later, and then 8 months later we brought our third partner in,
Yeah.
as revenue grew. But the key was is finding somebody who already knew how to do it and could handle the back end of things, as we just ran. The advantage we have is that we could sell, right? And
Yeah.
we had relationships, and we had relationships that we worked with folks for 10 years that we had credibility with. And so we were fortunate enough, blessed enough, lucky enough, whatever
Yeah.
we want to call it, to where people trusted us to come with us. When we hung up a shingle, they wanted to come. come with
Yeah.
it.
Now, the law is so broad. There's firms that do bankruptcy and personal injury and defense side versus, plaintiff side, and there's criminal law. There's so many different areas. Did you eventually figure out a vertical that you want to focus on, or did you find that what you do is broad enough that you could build any law firm website for any law firm?
Yeah, any type of law that really doesn't make any difference. I would say our niche is solo practitioners up to about 10 attorneys is where 95% of we work with 515, 16, I think last count, firms across the country. And probably 95% of them are solo practitioners up to about 10 attorneys. Because those are the ones who need help, right? The
Yeah.
big, humongous firms really don't market online. They have
Yeah.
a website that they make, they think of it as a fancy brochure online, but they're really not
Yeah.
marketing, is where we can help and bring in calls and leads and so forth. But defense firms typically don't market too much as far as, insurance defense firms or something like that.
It's
But
more competitive on the plaintiff side.
yeah, the plaintiff
Yeah.
side. So
Yeah.
a lion's share of what we do is personal injury, work comp, family law, criminal law, employment, estate
And
planning.
that frankly is the more entrepreneurial side because they're really putting their business on the line. If they take on all bad cases and they don't pay off for them, they're going to run out of money very quickly.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And talk a little bit about like search engine optimization. A lot of changes happened over the last 10 years. Now we're in the dawn of AI as we record this in the middle of 2025. And increasingly, people are using LLMs, using AIs in order to research, law firms and decide on what law firm they want to hire. Talk a little bit about that, how that's changed.
Yeah, I mean, as we sit here today, I mean, Google is still the main player, and certainly, the elephant in the room or on the horizon is AI, and where who's going to win that battle, and how do you get your clients ranked on those if indeed that's where they're searching. And so we're still kind of have our ear to the ground to see, testing out some different things to see where that's going to go, and I'm optimistic. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you know, um, Jason Swank, I thought he put it perfectly a number of months ago. He said, listen, what do you, and I say this to our clients too, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty, a lot of change, what's going on, but what do you know for certain 5 years from now, 10 years from now that our clients are going to need? They still need help getting new business in the door,
Hmm.
right? They can only scale so fast on referrals and networking and things of that nature, right? Every attorney I've ever talked to says I get my best business from referrals. Well, that's great, and that's probably never going to change necessarily. But you can't go scale your business next quarter, 50% on referrals. You can't. You have no control of that. Whatever comes in, comes in. So they're going to need help with marketing, whether it's on Google or Facebook or Meta or AI or what have you. And so I think for us, it's just positioning ourselves in a place where we can help people, that we do what's right for folks, and then whatever changes and have our ear to the ground and have our tentacles out of where you know like the book, Who Moved My Cheese? Where's the cheese going to go? And let's be first
Yeah.
to be able to help people bridge that gap.
It strikes me. We were talking about baseball. There's a lot of similarities between baseball and sales. The best hitters in the game of all time, Hall of Fame, struck out. They failed 7 out of 10 times at the plate. And yet they need to just stop, gather themselves, and go back and do it again and again and again. Do you see similarities between those two? Do you think what made you a
100%.
good baseball player, helps you to succeed in sales?
100%. Like kind of going back to your question, like how did I gain credibility with attorneys not being an attorney or what have you? When my mentor of mine that hired me at that big box store company, um, I didn't know anything about it, but I knew it was going to take a certain amount of meetings to figure out how to get a deal in the door.
Hmm.
So like, let's say it's going to take 100. Maybe it was going to take 10 till I got it, or maybe it was going to take 100. And my mindset, it was like, let's say it's going to take 100. I can either space this out over the next year and then figure it out by the end of the year, or I can just go, I looked at it as at bats, right? Like if it's going to take me 100 at bats to get one hit, then let's get these at bats as quick as possible. Why spread
Yeah.
this out over the next 6, 12 months? Let's spread it out over the next 60 days and
Yeah.
let's fail a bunch of times and then I'm going to pick it up and figure it out from there. And that's really what I did. I was like, listen,
Hmm.
it's going to take me 100 meetings with an attorney and look like an idiot, 100 times. So be it. Let's get it out of the
Yeah.
way and take, failures is a friend, fail forward, fail quickly, fail fast, and figure it out. And so that's what we did.
And maybe also take a shot before every discovery call.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Never know. It might work, right?
I'll have to try that.
There have been those who have tried. I'm not
I'm
saying
sure
that it would work that well. Kind of a problem. I also want to ask about, it's always interesting to me, kind of the tension between, if you deliver a solution and the solution is like online visibility, does that mean that as a company, your prospects expect that would be the way that you also get your clients? Often isn't the case. Like, for example, like Google, right? The biggest online company out there, they send postcards to prospects, right? You think, oh, maybe they'd get all their leads online, but they don't, because sometimes it makes sense to do something different. So talk a little bit about like, what you do to acquire clients, and is it all online visibility or is it not?
The ironic part, and I tell clients this all the time, when I'm sitting in front of an attorney, I know how to grow your business better than I know how to grow mine. Because that's what we sit
All
all
their
day.
shoes kind of situation, right?
There's no local service ads for folks like us,
Yeah.
right? PPC is not as fruitful for someone like us than it is like a divorce attorney or family law attorney or a criminal defense attorney. And so it's much different. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Well, just it's interesting, like when a lot of times companies that provide a solution that's like online visibility, for example, then some people would expect that company would use those tools on themselves. But I find that's not always the case.
Yeah.
A lot of times companies, they might zig when they're zagging, or their solution is one thing, but they do something else in order to get their clients. So I'm just wondering what has worked for you. Like, for example, I know you've done different like gifting and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of curious what your thought process is around that.
Yeah, our biggest success is, number one, we've hired sales reps. We have a team of 10 at this point, that have all of them have 10 plus years of experience in the legal marketing field.
Oh, interesting. So you don't hire people outside of that area of expertise.
We haven't had to go there yet. No.
Yeah.
Even
though you started out with no experience.
Yeah. That was meant. So so we've been able to hire folks in the industry that we knew and worked with before. And then we go to a lot of trade shows. We'll probably work close to 70 trade shows or conferences this year.
Like exhibiting at these trade shows?
Mm-hmm. Having a booth, shaking hands, all that kind of stuff, and really getting in front. Because that's, we get contacted all the time by companies. Oh, we can get you appointments with attorneys and blah, blah, blah. And we fall for it every single time. So if you're listening to this, you're going to
contact me now.
we'll fall for it again. But it just never worked out, whether it's email marketing or whatever the spin on it is. And because it's for why there's not tons and tons of competition in our market, it's just hard to get in front of attorneys. There's no replacing knocking on a door, sticking a hand, shaking hands and going to where they're at. And so that's been our biggest win is going to
how many of those trade shows are you going to yourself personally, or is it all your team?
No, it's mostly my team. I'll probably go to half a dozen a year. Maybe I probably don't get to a dozen. It just doesn't. We've grown so quickly over the last few years that I find that it's not my best use of my time to go there. I'll go to a few depending on the conference or what have you, but we have a very, very senior seasoned team that, I'm not doing anything unless I can speak or do something like that.
Yeah.
There's really no reason for me to go there.
Do you still do any sales yourself, or have you removed yourself entirely from that?
Removed myself entirely. I still have a book of business that I personally manage at this point. But any new sales that come in are passed out to our reps. I certainly are on my fair share of sales calls with them, but
Mm.
certainly don't take on any new clients personally.
So you're participating, and how do you approach that when you're participating and you're the CEO? Do you try and stay quiet, and you try and let them take the lead?
I have the gift of gab. It's very hard
I
for me
can't I
to,
can't see you being
yeah.
quiet.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. But no, it doesn't happen. But I try to, depending on the situation in the rep, I'm typically taking the lead and certainly edifying the reps because
Yeah,
I'm not going to be the one in the client's, day to day by any
yeah,
stretch, and nor do they want me to because I'm stretched too thin.
yeah. And do you have a model where the sales rep continues to have a relationship with that
Yeah.
client? Oh, interesting. Okay, so tell
Every
tell.
every client has a sales rep and an account manager as their point of contact.
Okay,
Now, depending on if they're doing, because we build websites, we do SEO, we do social media, we manage pay-per-click ads, and we do manage local service ads. And depending on like social, they'll have a point of contact there. PPC, they'll have a designated strategist, and as well as local service ads. But their main so the rep does stay with the
they stay
client.
with them. Yeah. Was that different from what you'd experienced personally when you'd done this at the big box firm? And
Very
no, it's
similar.
what you'd done. Same thing,
Yeah,
same model.
yeah, yeah. Because it's, in this internal debate that we have quite a bit is like, you know, those roles and can an account manager um, be also the salesperson? But we've
Right.
just found that they just wear different hats. There's a different um, personality.
Yeah.
Some people are farmers, some people are hunters, type of thing.
So you
So
have to structure their compensation so they get, obviously a commission for the sale, but then there's also some kind of trailing revenue that they get, so they remain invested in those clients, and they're not just going out and hunting the next sale.
yeah, because the salesperson, listen, there's a they want to grow the account because they're compensated to do so.
Hmm.
But more importantly, the clients typically want to scale, right?
Hmm.
More times than not where when they come into our ecosystem is not where they finish, right? They're
Yeah.
starting somewhere where they're comfortable, where they're seeing a return on their investment, and then we're helping them scale. And so
Yep.
we're making sure so the salesperson is basically casting the vision of where we
Yep.
want to go and how we're going to get there, right? The
Yep.
account manager is taking care of their current situation, any updates and things of that nature, um, and handling any issues that are happening. But we want that salesperson or that consultant to do that, consult with the client, stay involved, and really understand where they're at, helping them even though it's beyond our job description and pay grade, you know, we have to get involved in their intake. Most attorneys are terrible at intake. None of them think they have this issue, by the way. So
Yeah.
they're listening to this. Oh no,
Yeah. We're good
everyone will
on
tell me
AT.
they're the exception. They're very, very good.
Yeah.
Right. But what we found is that they don't realize how many calls are missing. Right.
Mm.
They don't they have not had somebody consult them on how to do intake.
Mm.
Writing on a sticky note and waiting for the attorney to get back from court is not a good
Hmm.
sales, conversion tool,
Yeah.
type of thing. So it's really getting in there, rolling up our sleeves, and coaching them up on how to. Because no matter if they're not good at that, it doesn't matter how good or
Doesn't matter. You can send them a ton of leads, and they're just gonna return their call 3 days later, and they've already got a client. They've already got the other person. The prospect's already got a different lawyer working for them.
because they're
Yeah.
used to, right?
Yeah.
Attorneys are typically used to referrals. So if I
Mm.
got referred to you, John,
Yeah.
you know, I'm going to leave you a message and wait for you to call me back because my
Yeah.
alternative is to go online
Right.
and talk and start calling perfect strangers,
Right.
right? What we do for folks are getting them people calling perfect strangers. So it's too easy for them to hit the back button and call somebody else. So we tell them,
Yeah.
hey, listen, if they're hitting a voicemail or they're leaving a message and it's like reeling a fish all the way up to the boat, to use a fishing analogy,
Yeah.
clipping the line and telling the fish to wait there while we go get the net. This
Yeah.
is
Hold on a
what's gonna
second.
happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't work so well. So that sounds like something you figured out over time. You need to get involved in that process by necessity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no way, no two ways around it. We
Yeah.
gotta help them with the whole process.
And there's got to be situations where if you're working for a solo or something like that, they're just time strapped. They got lots of things on their plate. They're juggling all this different stuff, and they can't get back to the person within 6 hours, and so they lose their leads.
100%. I mean,
Yeah.
most solos there, we tell them all the time, I'm like, listen, you're the host, you're the waiter, you're the bartender, you're the manager, you're the chef. So how do we figure out how to hire somebody internally? Do we
Mhm.
go out? Do we have preferred partners that we work with that help them answer the phone, right? And do live call transfers and chat and these different things to help them, you know, help them make the mousetrap a little bit better, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And now with
or at least
AI
be
tools,
aware.
there's more stuff to,
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Or at least let them aware of kind of back to a batting average. Like, listen, if you're not willing to hire an answering service, or you're just this is gonna be your batting average. You're gonna
Mm.
answer two out of every five phone calls I send you,
Hmm.
and there's no bitching about, hey, this isn't working. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you're not willing to
Right.
take the step, just know, and some
Right.
folks are fine with that. They're like, listen,
Yeah.
just send me a bunch of calls, and I'm gonna grab, the 5 or 10 and that I can get
Yeah.
to, and they're gonna hire me, and that's gonna be enough. And I know I
Yeah.
need to see 10 pitches to get 2 hits, and that's
Yeah.
just kind of
And so many
how it
lawyers
is.
just suck at sales. Like it's weird because for many years in the legal profession, advertising was not even legal. And so it's
Correct.
kind of got this embedded attitude of like, oh, we can't do sales, you know? And so there's the real kind of apprehension towards doing things that lawyers kind of perceive as being salesy.
Listen, my dad told me a long time ago, he's like, listen, everyone's selling a product or a service. And lawyers, to your point, a lot of lawyers, no, I'm not in sales. I'm a
Yeah.
lawyer. No, no,
Yeah.
no. You're selling a service.
Yeah.
So you need to promote your service and you need to sell. And you need to learn some of those skills. And if we need to help you, because, there's some of our clients, God bless them, I love them, that I know that I need to send them 50 opportunities to sign up one case.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they're just,
Right.
you can't, that's what their skill set is.
Right.
Others, we send them we send them 10 opportunities, they're going to close all 10 of them.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we just got to figure out. So that's where recording the phone calls and monitoring everything and
Mm,
tracking everything so they know. So at
mm,
least they're aware of what's going on and what's happening, and whether will take our advice and kind of move to the next step and delegate some of those things and spend a few $100s to make
yeah.
thousands. It's really trying to
I,
help them do that.
I'm curious. You mentioned earlier that you do speaking opportunities, and as a former speechwriter myself, I can appreciate how difficult it is to get on stage, and speak with authority, especially in when you were newer in the field. Talk to me a little bit about that, about how you've worked on developing that as a authority builder in your industry.
Still a work in progress. Still a work in progress. But yeah, I've done a few of them. We have our own, developing our own podcasts and things of that nature certainly has helped. Certainly having
Nice.
conversations like this just to,
Yeah.
figure out how to, get my
Yeah.
point across and things of that nature. But yeah, that's kind of where it stands.
Certainly doing it as much as possible, I think, is that would be my top piece of advice, is doing it
Sure.
just over and over and over again. I've probably done 1,500 interviews now, and still working at it, still chip away at, just like, the best hitters in baseball, still
Yeah.
working on, becoming better, taking it, each one day at a time. I want to ask you about COVID. So, your firm started not too long before COVID. And
Yeah.
then what was it like in March of 2020 when that hit? You, like I, were both in California. So California kind of was on the earlier edge. It hit Seattle and then it hit California and Bay Area. Were you like, was there a moment where you're like, holy crap, I might lose everything? Or what was that experience like for you?
Well, certainly that. Certainly that. So my first official day where I hit the eject button in the corporate world and left my cushy corporate gig, was July 17th of 2019. And COVID hit, what, March something or other.
So like 7 months later, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but so 7 months later, our landlord at the time was like, "Hey, you can't come back here. The whole
Wow,
world's shutting down, right?"
wow.
And we just thought we made the worst decision on the planet,
Mm,
And knock on wood, or what we found was lawyers are pretty recession proof. And not outside of a few of our DUI attorneys that when the bar shut down, they were certainly scrambling to figure out where their next client was going to come from. Because like one of my clients said, he's like, you know, it's really tough to get a DUI in your living room, you
It's
know.
true. That was one area of law that actually shut down in many ways because there were many fewer DUIs. Better for society, worse for DUI attorneys.
There was, I forget how many clients we had at the point, but there was only one or two of those folks that, now, listen, it was also a good lesson to be diversified
Yeah, true. Yeah, yeah.
geographically,
Yep.
because what folks in Southern California and California did was much different than in Texas and Florida,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like there's
Yep.
just a
Yep.
whole different
Yep.
um, rules of engagement there as
Yeah.
far
There's
as
some states I talked to them today and they're like, we didn't really shut down in 2020. I'm like, you didn't shut down in 2020? Really?
for
Like
sure.
Florida, Texas, or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
let's keep rocking. I don't know what you
Yeah.
guys are talking about this cold going around, but
Yeah. Right.
um, but so that was helpful. But yeah, we certainly were worried there for a bit of like, how does this work? But at the end of the day, what ended up
Yeah.
happening is listen, um, family law attorneys got real busy.
Yeah.
Their calls shot through the roof when now folks
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
had to
All of a
tolerate
sudden,
each
just
other in
stare at the
person.
person across
Yeah.
from them and like, do I want to ride this out with you? I don't think I do. Yeah.
In our personal injury attorneys, there wasn't as many accidents, but like my dad who was an ER doc said, like, we don't see as many accidents, but because people, in LA, in rush hour, they're driving 15 miles an hour on the freeway. Now they
Yeah.
were driving 150 miles an
Oh,
hour because
yeah.
there's no cars on there, so the
Yeah.
accident was bigger. So it,
Yeah.
it actually ended up being a couple blessings that came out for us. Blessings, certainly. We once envisioned our company, everybody under the same roof, and how you envisioned, companies 10 years ago, or a mortgage company where everyone's in cubes and, I look out my door and I can see all of my employees and talk to them. Well, when COVID hit, what we found was as we were growing, and we're here in Orange County, California, the blessing is it wasn't a blessing at the time, but no one wanted to come and work at an office. People all wanted to work remote. Well, that
Mhm.
opened up opportunity. Now we have 60 employees all over the country
Wow.
working from home,
Yeah.
and we don't necessarily have to pay Southern California prices.
Yep.
Our talent pool isn't limited to Orange County or the
Hmm.
surrounding area. We have amazing employees in New York and Iowa and Texas and wherever,
Yeah.
right? And it allowed us to reach out and expand and figure out that whole world. How do
Yeah.
you how do you manage a team at a distance and things
Yeah.
of that nature? And we have an office here. When we first got this office, um, we have 4 cubes out in our main area. Only one of them is filled. I don't know that we'll ever fill the 2 days a week. 2 of them are filled. I don't even think we'll fill the other ones
Hmm.
because we just don't. It's just like many, many, many businesses.
Hmm.
I mean, our whole office complex, and it's the parking lot's probably 15% full on
Hmm.
a giving area. I don't know if I want to be a commercial landlord right now, but
Right.
that's certainly what we found is we're able to get talent, amazing talent, remotely, and our clients were pretty darn recession proof. At the end of the day, that didn't really affect the legal space that much.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Travis, this has been great. I want to wrap up with my gratitude question. So I'm a big fan of giving, I guess, a little bit of space here at the end to express gratitude to anyone who's helped them along the way in their journey. Any peers, contemporaries, or mentors that you'd want to acknowledge?
I think as we're talking about the early days, what was a big help is, when I jumped, we were hopeful that maybe 10% of our clientele would come with us, and it ended up being about 75%, if
Wow.
not more. It's probably at this point, it's almost all of them came
Hmm.
with us
Hmm.
because worked for a big Fortune 500 company, and um, I wasn't arrogant enough to think that they would all come with me or they trusted me that much. And it actually turned out that they did. And I was a huge, and most all of them are still with us here 6 years later.
Wow.
Right. And so it was very, very thankful to any and all of them that came with us and trusted us enough to make the leap and come with a startup. And I like to think they're happy they did at this point, certainly.
But if they're still there 6 years later, they probably are. Yes, Travis, this has been great. Where can people go to learn more about you and RizeUp Media?
RizeUpMedia.com. We know how to spell over here, so we spell Rise with a Z. And so, RizeUpMedia.com. And or email me directly, Travis@RizeUpMedia.com. Feel free to reach out, and if we can help you, we'd love to.
All the cool kids put Rise in their company names, whether it's with a Z or an S or whatever. So,
that's right.
That's right. All right, Travis, thanks so much.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Business Revolution podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.